Welcome to another episode of Paranormal CPR. I'm Chuck Parker. We're here in Chicago at Comcast Studios going over footage from a great new series coming out by Erick and Tammila Wright out of Colorado called Walking History. They were going to fly in for the interview, couldn't make it, so they sent in their own interview that they recorded at their house in Colorado. So sit back and enjoy yourself.
Sorry we couldn't be there today at the show in person. We're still back out in Colorado. We're filming more for our series called Walking History, and we're going to kind of share with you guys about what we are, where we are, what we're doing, and our concept of the show.
Yep, we are having a blast. So what we're doing is we are going out to historic locations, and we drag along other historians. It could be a museum curator, and we take them through the sites, and we meet and see if there's any of those spirits hanging around that we've been reading about in these locations.
Now, we know you guys, where the show's airing right now is out in Chicago. It's a whole bit different world than where we are out here in Colorado. Part of the areas that we go into are still like the Old West. Well, the old ghost towns, the mining towns, the gunfighters stories, you know, the people that made it famous out here, Wyatt Earp and Bat Masterson and some of those people, to name a few of them, there are stories about them being out here and being seen even today. And that's the things that we're going after. We're going into places that have never really been documented like this before.
Yeah, and we've been ghost hunting for a little bit, about 27 years, almost 28 this summer.
Long time.
And of course, we've always loved history. And finally, we got the two loves together. And these places that, like museums, are finally opening their doors because we are historic based, that we're not just a typical group looking for demons, but these are real people in these locations. And what made them famous is, the reason why they're still hanging around. So through our research, we go and find out who they were, and then we ask them, is this true about you? And a lot of times, they show up or give us the corrections, which is kind of humbling, actually.
Why did we decide to do this project? It's a good question. We got tired of seeing what's out there. The same old stuff that's on television. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody has seen all the shows. We started watching them. And we started listening to the public and what they were wanting to see differently out there, and wanted a change of what's on television. So we took up on ourselves and our team to maybe try to do something like that and to marry the two together, the history and the paranormal together, and what we call a parahistorian, and to come up with something very unique and very different. We don't provoke, we don't antagonize, we don't just go out and ghost hunt and look for spooks or go through cemeteries. Mm-hmm. We actually sit down and we kind of feel like we're actually getting a gift a little bit. We're actually interviewing what is coming through to us, and sometimes it's some pretty interesting people. It's just as though, like we're sitting here right now being interviewed by you. We interview those entities that are coming through to us and telling us their stories. It's like they're reaching out to us through history to share with us things that they know or things that they want to have known that you just don't see on television today, unfortunately.
Yeah. And we're doing historical recreations to kind of help the viewer obviously not get bored. So you don't see a team just be bopping around a property. We actually tell the stories and give you a kind of an idea of what happened to them. That sounds like it could be bloody, but it's not, I promise. In fact, we film all of it for a sepia tone look, so nobody gets confused that maybe we have a full-bodied apparition, which is, of course, the holy grail of all paranormal activity. But you'll definitely be able to see the difference. So we're excited to marry the two. The science behind our paranormal show, it is different. We believe that these ghosts that we are talking to actually are really similar to radio waves. They have a frequency, a very unique frequency. In fact, between like Erick, me, Chuck, you, even down to a banana, believe it or not, have a frequency pattern. And so we map those, hoping that we can get closer to actually being able to see them and talk to them. Now they wave in and out, so that's why we don't get these huge long stories in our EVPs, but by golly, we get at least 3-word sentence And so that part of it is really exciting. And then we're using a new type of a camera that Eric, we got an opportunity to try out. It's all in our first pilot that's out, Walking History, the Elkhorn Lodge. Eric, tell them about that camera.
We have a camera that's not being used at all on television right now, and a lot of people don't know about it because it was used for a military aspect. It was used in the Gulf War, the Desert Storm, even recently, and it's just recently being made available to the public. It's not cheap. It's a very expensive camera, but it's not a full spectrum camera. This goes way beyond a full spectrum camera or infrared camera. It's called a hyperspectral camera. We actually have one that's being completely designed for our uses to be completely portable or be able to use on the Wi-Fi network so that we can set it up static or travel with it with us and record what it sees. It actually uses a software program to record 256 layers of frequencies that we can actually go in, just like shaving off frequencies, so that we can see what's in there and pick up what that camera can see that we can't see as a human eye, but yet it converts it to an image that you and I can see today. Unfortunately, we have to be some places we can't use the camera because of things that are in the room. Lots of pictures. We actually had one place we couldn't even use it because there was just so much glass in it and mirrors in this building. By using this camera and getting some images, we are getting some things that have been not seen before. And we're starting to share those images with the public right now, and that's part of what we're putting into our show.
There are places that we haven't gotten activity, especially historic locations. We always try for something over 100 years old. But if a location has been really remodeled and changed, we usually don't get anything. And I have some examples of that. And if it's unchanged, more than likely we get a cast of characters that just will blow your mind. And then to go back, I cannot tell you what it's like to be able to communicate like me and you, Chuck, right now, and the next day go and you're holding that person's death certificate and see, yep, that's what they told me they died of. It's absolutely blows our minds.
We do a lot of research into the documentation, records, and county registrars and things of that nature to get information on property and take the clues that we're given through what we have experienced on these investigations and documentations, and put the two together and find out that there are things that go together. That actually this entity has been telling us this. We find the documentation to prove it. And that's something that's not being really done out there, unfortunately, and I don't know why. It does take more time. But some of these places that we go into, we don't go in there for just a couple hours or one time. Sometimes it's 4 and 5 investigations. We actually have one property here that's the oldest lodge in Colorado that is still exactly the way it was in the 1875. And we were there over 28 investigations to get all the information.
Now that makes it sound like we camped out, and we really didn't. I mean, this was over a long time. In fact, 3 Halloweens too, because we were doing tours. A lot of our ties to Colorado fall right back into Chicago. It's amazing how much of Chicago's notorious mob history ended up here in Colorado, which I think is way cool. And so eventually you're going to be seeing some shows with those ties. Al Capone a lot of times would send out, of course, his group to kind of just cool off out here. While the cops were kind of analyzing their activities. So we'll be doing some more things like that.
Matter of fact, Chuck, something we've just discovered recently is looking like it may open up a murder investigation. We have to come out and see you. So we're going to be in your neighborhood, possibly working with the police department out there to solve what may be a very interesting case. So can't go into detail right now, but it's going to be something really fun to investigate. We have people that part of this team from in our area in Colorado that fell in love with our project 2 and 3 years ago and wanted to help out. Found out a lot of them had, like Ryan, a huge background in the paranormal. Michelle is our godsend. We call her Magic. Ryan we call Tunes. Michelle is Magic. JB is Jennifer Blanco, so we call her JB. But Michelle is incredible. She does our shooting, our sound, all of our editing. 25 years experience in the news and doing documentaries. And she fell in love with what we were doing. We took her on one of our investigations as a non-believer, and she was immediately hooked, and she says, I want to help out. So she is the one that is always behind the camera that you only get to see very little bit of once in a while. She's the one that takes all the bits and pieces and all the different camera angles and throws it together and produces like the sizzle that you just saw. She's the one that makes us look good. She's the one that makes the storyline, and we help produce it and come up with the images and things. But she's the one that makes sense of everything that we get. I mean, we couldn't do it without these guys.
And then, like with JB, when we are starting to research a property or a person, I'm telling you, we spend weeks in the library. I'm surprised they don't charge us for it. It gets really embarrassing, actually. Oh, hi again. But you know, we have to have some facts. But then once we visit the property and we meet the entities, we get more information, and we got to go back and cross-reference and find out who these people are. One of the properties that's in the pilot is called the Matchless Mine, and we had information come through on that. That's another one that just, you will not believe it when you see it. But we experienced every second of it. In fact, we even brought along the main museum curator and the assistant.
Yeah,
poor cat. And we actually put them through the investigation also. First of all, the entities usually know those people, the managers of the hotels, you know, and it's amazing. I really think that they seem or feel comfortable to come out and actually talk to us because they recognize them. That happened in Silverton, and so we're really excited when we can get, especially a skeptic museum curator to go with us. By the end, they don't know what to say.
That is something that we do that's different than what you see on TV now. Is we take some of these property owners or the people that will call us. We take them with us on investigations and let them experience all this firsthand. And sometimes it's amazing. And a lot of times by doing that and for them getting to see how professional we are, they're allowing us to go into other places, part of these organizations that have never been allowed to go in and document this before. Like Tammila was saying, the Matchless Mine. It has never been allowed for anybody to film there a show about the paranormal or the unexplained occurrences that are going on there. And by having the curator there with us at that investigation, he was very amazed and very happy and proud of how we handled things there. That we were very cautious and careful, and we were not making things up. We were not coming up with stuff for ratings just to make it look, you know, fancy. This is what it is, and that's what we captured. Sometimes, as I say, Tammila said we don't capture things. Sometimes we do, but it goes to show that we are the real deal. We don't make anything up. It's all about preservation and helping out. We think that's the reason why we get so much activity and why we catch so much is because these entities learn who we are, and they're possibly, I don't know, it depends. Are they scared? I don't know. We're not sure about that. Are they wanting us to help them? It seems that way to us. It's as though they're reaching out, trying to tell us the story, trying to get us involved, and sometimes in some of these properties that we go and investigate.
And they usually do know they're in a different place. Really, don't you, Eric, agree?
They do. Been a lot of times where they have told us they're not lost souls. They're not ghosts that need to be excommunicated from a building or asked to leave. That are there haunting to be evil. 27 years of doing this, I've only run into two things that were a little bit on the scary side. Most of it is people that we've known or people that we've heard about through history.
Of course, we don't seem to investigate prisons, though.
Yeah, I don't do
those
prisons.
People were mean enough when they were alive. Imagine how fun they are when
mental,
they're dead.
Or mental hospitals.
I don't really care to go there. Thank you very much.
That is one of the places, was a mental hospital that unfortunately was a little strange.
Yeah,
but it's just that they're trying to share with us. They really are, and we feel very gifted, very lucky to be able to experience some of these stories that we're picking up.
Each one have a story, and they're wanting to tell us, just like you and me. I mean, really. They had children, they had dogs and cats, and a lot of times their critters are with them. Which is really endearing, don't you think? Sorry, your zoo's still going with you.
Like I said, they're not trapped spirits. They're not lost spirits. We don't believe in that. I don't go for that story. They have told us that they're actually where they want to be and how they want to be. They're actually enjoying where they're at. They have told us that they know it's a different time than where we are right now, or a different frequency or a different layer. But they are where they are, and it's all out of their own choice. They choose to be where they are. So,
Have we been told to mind our own business? Oh yeah, we have.
time to go.
Yeah, but what do you do then? But at least we got activity, right?
We have that. And the EVPs, we've gotten some extremely good, very clear EVPs over time that we've been able to go back and find bits and pieces, and sometimes some relatives that could tell us who that was that we were talking to, and it's pretty amazing to come up with that kind of stuff. And that's what we want to share with everybody. It's not just what goes bump in the night, or did you hear that, or who dropped that. There's a story that's there for us to listen to, and we're having a ball doing it.
And we use equipment that everybody would recognize, from the lonely little flashlight all the way up into the hyperspectra camera. And so that, if someone wants to try to do this field, some paranormal investigating, really you don't need all the expensive gear. You really don't. No. Some patience, definitely.
Some gear is nice to have. And,
yeah.
And that's kind of where I come involved, is helping out with the gear. Ryan designs a lot of stuff for us and builds camera parts and things, but my background as an electrician and a ham radio operator has been a big help with this, and understanding how frequencies work, where they can go, where they can't go, types of equipment that we can use to measure or record or experience what's going on in the areas that we're investigating. It really does help out quite a bit.
But still my favorite is the flashlight technique.
Yeah,
I know
it
it's
is.
not very sexy, but when you have something talking to you through a flashlight that takes hardly any energy, and they're answering right along, and you're asking, please turn that off, and they do it right on cue. I know there's going to be skeptics out there, but I can't help it. And then once they learn the flashlight technique, it seems like they never go back to, examples like the K2, because it just uses less energy, and we can talk to them for hours with it.
The digital recorders are a lot of, we
yes,
use those. We like the digital recorders, but, we go far back as using microphones and reel-to-reel to record audio.
Don't tell them all of the...
And cassettes.
How
that's
old
how long
we are.
We've been doing this. The equipment.
Oh, we're so old.
K2s. We used to use old EMF readers, as electricians, and thermal cameras back then. We have a thermal camera. So you can have the fancy gear, you can have the old school gear. And a lot of times the old school gear works just as good. And doesn't break as easy too if you drop it. I have to admit that.
Is the paranormal genre, winding down? I don't think so. In fact, I'm pretty sure
too many people.
It's jamming,
Too many people.
Yeah, and we have such great technology coming in, like with the hyper spectral camera, with frequencies, and even the work that they're doing in the medical field with frequency. They're starting to heal cancer. Shooting the cancer with an opposite frequency makes it disappear. Yeah, it's not winding down. Yeah, not at all. But, we are expecting better technology. We no longer, or the public, most of them do believe in ghosts or have had an experience, a very personal experience. And so the if isn't there anymore. It's the how and why. We're still dealing with a why, because why that entity there is so personal. Just like you and me, why do we live where we do? It's very personal. And so hopefully we're giving them an avenue to tell us.
Where is the paranormal genre going now? Where is the TV going now? Or what the public is watching now, for I guess is a better way to put it. I think it's going to be around for a while. Mm-hmm. There's too many people wanting these answers. Is it going to change from what you're seeing on TV right now? I hope so. I really do. Nothing against what's out there now. We just do things differently, and what to do things differently. And we hope that's where we have found our little niche on why we think our show will get picked up and be put out on television.
I still get offended when somebody says, "Oh, is that your hook?"
Yeah,
we've been doing this for a really long time. The history aspect is not a hook. We are the real deal. We are historians. We have been doing this for years and years.
Is it going to change from reality TV to back to the historical documentary? I hope so. People are wanting to see more history out there. That's what they're telling us. So that's why we keep doing this, is because not only do we want answers, but we're also... we love the history part of it, so that's what we chase so much, and they just go hand in hand. So I think that's going to be the logical next step out there that people are going to be seeing is more documentation, more authentication, more back to the documentary type of shows that we used to have, and not the reality TV stuff. I mean, that's fun. It's a lot of good stuff, but
Yeah.
I think there's
It's not
place for
going
both.
anywhere.
Yeah, I think there's room for both
Yeah.
out there. I'm not saying one is good or one is bad. I think there's room for both out there. I really do, and I think they'll stay around for a
What's
while.
wrong with a hybrid? We're going to be a hybrid
Yeah, we're
of
right.
it.
That's true.
We are really.
True. So
We actually took our show and took it to a demographic age group. We wanted to find out, is our show too scary?
Yeah.
Because that's the last thing I want to do, is terrify the kids, that they have to sleep in mom's bedroom because they watched our show. So we took it to 5th graders, 4th graders, 6th graders. And we found out about over 10 years old is about that can handle it. We do not approach things scary. Anytime you talk about death, that's not real happy. But we try to put a positive twist on it. We don't go hunting for the demons and all of that like we had said before. We try to be more positive. These places, we want you to visit them because they do have such a historic base to them. We learn so much from them.
And sometimes some of these places will go in during the Halloween season and help them with fundraisers because of what money it takes to keep some of these properties going is intense.
Just this past Halloween up at the Elkhorn, Roosevelt's been seen up there, Theodore.
And this is up in Estes Park, just around the corner from the other hotel.
And we started getting all these words like Panama and this certain gun that I had no clue.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And our wonderful daughter that has done reports on Teddy Roosevelt goes, oh, I know exactly who that is. And she starts firing questions, no problem. And everything's lighting up like a Christmas tree. And we figured out, oh my gosh, that's Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt! A dead president! It was so exciting. Okay, but why? Why at this place way up in Colorado? Well, that was one of his favorite places to go hunting. That was his hunting lodge. And he has been seen in all his hunting garb. There's a photo that's circulating of him just kind of leaning up against the fireplace. It was an amazing experience. And it was this day after his birthday, too, that we were there. So we have a bird going crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like springtime out here, guys, so sorry about that. It's the windows and everything are open, and it's so warm out here. It's like we're taking advantage of it from the snow, so if it's loud, I apologize. But
do you know how much fun it is when I'm in the middle of a museum and I get these little curators standing there? We ran into one down in Cimarron.
Cimarron, New Mexico.
Yes, in the grist mill.
Yep.
And he was standing there, and of course our crew's running in there and getting all the kinds of stuff. And he goes, oh my gosh, you guys aren't one of those ghost groups, are you? Just disgusted. And I couldn't help it. I said, are you kidding? You don't believe? You don't believe in ghosts? How could you not believe? Don't you understand? You're missing it. You could, all the history that's running around and you could talk to it, and you could just see him shrink. And I couldn't help it. I can't believe it when I run into somebody who doesn't believe in ghosts anymore. And I want to take him. Of course, he looked like not the jump on the bandwagon type. But I did make him stop a second. And that's exactly what we're doing to these professionals. This is the hardest group, the historic group, to bring to our side. They're the most skeptical. Yeah, we can read about it in a book, but it better, by golly, not be walking around us. So we're going to be going to Gettysburg, Sleepy Hollow, that's on the list.
Yeah, Montana, to a ghost town that we have a gentleman we ran into, Vic Anderson. His great-grandfather homesteaded this place up in northern Montana. It's a ghost town, and the cemetery is all there. But there's people that live not too far around there, and the stories around this place are amazing. So we're hoping to hit that here very quickly. Doc Holliday, we're working on stories of Doc Holliday, the Santa Fe Trail. and all the people that went through Colorado and into New Mexico on the trail, and a lot of the famous names of people around here.
Doc Holliday's such a hard
yeah,
guy because he
all over
was
Colorado.
in all the mining camps, dealing faro. So he's kind of been a hard one, except where he died was Glenwood, Colorado. And where he was buried is this cemetery that's just up on this mountain, and you can just imagine
unreal.
this horse-drawn carriage of a hearse going up this winding road, and finally into the cemetery. But they don't say where he's buried. There's a headstone, and kind of far off into the trees, somebody's been putting flowers, so you kind of wonder that. But if you look at Billy the Kid's grave, and it's got bars all over it, you can see why they never told anybody, because people drag off pieces of those headstones. So that's one of the questions I'm going to be asking.
Yeah, because we are working on that one.
Yeah.
Is on the trail of Billy the Kid.
Yeah, we'll
It's
get to
taking us all over New Mexico, clear down into even Roswell. Unfortunately, he was down in that area, Roswell, New Mexico. Yeah, UFO area, but there's more to it than that. I mean, there's a lot of the stories about Billy the Kid down that direction. Santa Rosa, New Mexico, Lincoln County Wars, all that. We're investigating all of that stuff.
But what's fun with Billy the Kid, of course, he was bumping elbows with
Yeah.
Blackjack Ketchum.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
some of
Blackjack.
these gunfighters that, honestly, the truth is definitely stranger than
It
fiction
is.
on these guys. So we'll be tapping into them too when
It
we're
is,
down
and
there. So
What's been the biggest fun for us that we've had recently is being able to go into areas and almost rewrite their history, or actually help them correct history that has been unfortunately portrayed over the last 75 or 100 years as being completely incorrect, like Leadville, the Matchless Mine story. There's been so many people that have written about that and didn't get their facts straight, or they just came up with stories because it sounded good. It wasn't even true. And they were very cautious about us when we first got there to film until they realized who we were and what we were doing. And then the whole town opened up to us. And it's been amazing what we discovered on actually setting the records straight on what really did happen in Leadville, Colorado, with the Tabors and that whole saga. But you'll have to see that show. So.
And that's the whole other side of our show is, we have a duty to these people that live in these areas that care about their history to get it correct. That's very imperative. So once we're done, then we go back and we show them, is this correct? Is this what you want to go down and film as?
Yeah,
and they're usually very happy. Sometimes they're like, where the heck did you get that? And I have to show my documentation. So we have our hands in every aspect of the show.
So, anyways, that's basically kind of in a nutshell of who we are and what we are and where we're going. It costs so much for us to do these. It's not a cheap venture.
Well,
and everybody in the team is all pitching in. I mean, they believe in this so much that they're all helping out and they're all paying for things. And so we don't have anybody else paying for this. This is all on our own dime.
And I
right
can't
now.
keep this Jack in the Box too much longer.
Yeah, too many people are
I've
hearing
got to
about
get
it.
this out. I'm too excited. Nobody can live with me anymore.
That's why we're doing this. Is we want to share this. We want to give it to the public.
Yeah.
So we can keep doing this. I mean, we're doing what we love to do, and I would hate to give this up. So we're looking at just keep rolling this thing forward as well as we can, as much as we can. So.